Whether you're a suburban athlete or an Olympic champion, you've got to work hard to get results. We've put over 15 years' experience into developing Active Man, combining vitamins, minerals and proteins. Active Man helps provide you with the nutrients you need to optimize performance and assist recovery. Discover the Active Man range, now available. Active Man, power up.
Welcome to this week's Power Progress podcast, and I have Lucy Walton, which is the second time she's come onto the show, and this is series 3. Haven't caught up for a while. How are you doing?
I am good, thank you, Nathan. Thank you very much for having me yet again.
Yes, and I think we're going to start back because we might have went into this on the first one, but let's go back to how we first met, and that was in, was it last year, beginning last year, or the year before? It was in lockdown, wasn't it?
It was in lockdown. I reckon it was 2021 that we first met by teaching online classes. So we were both on the same platform teaching our online classes, and that's how we met. So yeah, we've both kind of had to change the direction of our businesses because we were forced to move everything online.
Yeah, very interesting, wasn't it? And I think very different because you was already doing classes actively, may I add. Well, I was one of them instructors that set up stations like a boot camp, and I'll just do a few little moves, make them done perfectly, and let the class do their bit.
Yeah.
That's what was different to that, because you actually done it with them anyway. What sort of classes did you do at the gym at the time before?
So at the gym, I was always doing it with them. So I was teaching spin, so I was on the bike doing the class with them. I missed that actually. I don't teach that anymore. I was doing body combat, body pump. I was doing a few circuit classes. So the circuit classes, like you, I'd wander around, but I was quite actively involved in most of them.
It was quite interesting with that because I think I had a little bit of limiting belief when it comes to doing the classes with them. And I'll tell you why. Because go back years, I worked for a few gyms and I'd done something like 15 sessions in a week of classes. And I had other instructors at the time who'd done a lot more than me. And I discovered that these instructors, whilst they were fit, they didn't look fit. Because what I found, they were doing too many classes and they almost was exhausted. So they were just eating to survive for their next class. So I sort of went the other extreme and thought, how can I do this until I want to stop? Not necessarily that I have to stop. And that's when I went, okay, I'll design my, if you like, business around, I don't have to necessarily do it with them. So that was my sort of thought process.
Yeah.
But then when I was forced to do it, going online, I actually found the benefits of it. So I didn't quite realise how unfit I was in that area. Yeah. Until I started doing it online, you know?
Yeah. So interestingly, I think I came the other way. So I started as a studio instructor. So I wasn't a personal trainer. I was just qualified to teach classes, and I was doing loads and loads and loads of classes, up to about 25 a week sometimes.
Yeah.
And like you said, at that point in my life, I didn't really have a great understanding of nutrition. I didn't understand at that point in time the benefits of weight-based and strength-based training. So pretty much all the classes I was teaching were cardio-based, and I was very physically fit, but I didn't look great because I didn't have the balance right. So I was a cardio bunny, heart and lung fitness, great, but nutrition poor, strength-based training non-existent.
Yeah.
So we've kind of come from the opposite angle. You were always predominantly doing strength-based, weight-based training, I'm guessing, whereas I was predominantly doing cardio-based training. And I've kind of come a bit full circle with that and now understand the benefits of both.
Yeah, I mean, I thought what's really interesting when we talk about cardio, I think in a way they're different to HIIT, because when I've done the strength training, I used to do the typical either moderate state on the cross trainer, where it was low impact, but I got my cardio in, or I'd do a walk on the treadmill. So I thought I was fit at the time, obviously, but when lockdown happened, and I remember when I was first actually done it just right here's my conservatory, and the first class I did, I was like, right, next one is burpees, and I could see on the screen there was other people who were obviously used to doing the circuits. They were
Yeah.
actually fitter than me, and I thought, oh my God, this is, in my head, I thought this is a bit embarrassing. They were fitter than me in this type of training.
Yeah.
And obviously it took me about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks for me to, at least pick up.
Start to build up. Yeah.
So it's interesting. And now I'm hooked on it. And I like to think I've still managed to get a good balance where I've been mindful of not doing too many classes.
Yeah.
It is going to compromise my energy where I'm not going to be able to do the other elements. But that's where the fine balance comes, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's great that people are understanding the benefits of strength training and weight-based training and how you can change your physique with that type of training, and also all the other benefits, strengthening your bones and joints and all the rest of it, and of course the weight management. But I think you've got to have an aspect of some high intensity training within your program to keep yourself physically fit, so that if you did need to sprint for a bus or you can do it. Because I've had people say to me recently, like, that all the training that they're doing is in the gym and strength based, which is great. I'm pleased they're doing it, but then they might be lacking that fitness element, which is something that you can get from the types of classes that we now teach. I teach them online, and you do a little bit of both, don't you? You do them in the gym and online.
With that one, I'm a bit of a hybrid, I like to call myself.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think, that typically people that just do sort of strength-based training might be missing that element, and people that do an awful lot of cardio-based training or just focus on classes are missing the strength elements. I think it is important to have a bit of both, and be a bit of an all-rounder rather than just focusing on the one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think what's really interesting for someone who's listening who may not be a trainer as such, they automatically will look at likes of you and I and go, well, it's easy for them because they're in the industry, but it just shows we have to get the balance right ourselves, don't we, at times?
Yeah, and it took me, I was a qualified PT since 2007, but I was still teaching mostly cardio-based classes, and it actually took me until 2012, and that's being qualified. That's like, being taught all the science behind everything. It took me till 2012 to get it right myself, like to understand the importance of strength-based training, to really understand my nutrition, and also having a little bit of the cardio element still in there. But I was killing myself with cardio, to be honest. Like, I was every 3 months I was burning myself out because that was all I was doing, and I wasn't fueling my body properly. I looked skinny fat. I didn't have a huge amount of muscle tone. Still definitely carrying a lot of excess body fat. Whereas now, I do both. So the classes that I teach are HIIT-based stuff, short 30 minutes intense workouts. I try and do a certain amount of low intense activity. So I try and make sure I'm doing lots of steps in a day and keeping myself moving, because I'm working online. If I don't do that, I can sometimes just be sat at my computer all day. And I think that's what a lot of the population are currently like. Since lockdown happened, so many more people are working from home, and that hasn't really changed. I know things are opening up a little bit, but many people that I work with are spending an awful lot of time just sat down every day. So if they're not careful, can be doing very little daily movement and no training. So it's like, it is making sure you're getting everything that you can possibly do within the time you've got available and getting the balance right.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good place to start is maybe we talk about how what we do exactly on the exercise point of view individually, and then maybe we can say what we actually advise our clients to do. That might be a good approach, because then we can show the difference, because a lot of clients think we do maybe more than them, which you might do in some cases, but like I said, we need to get the balance. So maybe we don't, and they may not know that. So maybe talk us through how you get your balance in a week. Where would you get your HIIT from? Where would you get your steps from? What about your strength training? Have you got so many days you do in a week, stretches, stuff like that?
Yeah. So one thing that I probably do lack on a little bit is sort of my stretching and flexibility side of things, I'm a bit lazy with that, and I have got to force myself to do it. But in terms of my average week, so I teach 7 online classes, and those are a mix of, they are really sort of HIIT style workouts. So I do a lower body session, an upper body session. We do use dumbbells, but they're quite light dumbbells within those classes. And then I do a full body session. I do core workouts, which are generally body weight. So I do 7 of those a week, and they're all 30 minutes. And then my gym-based sort of heavy lifting is 4 times a week. So it's about a 10-minute walk to get to the gym. So I'm walking there and back as well. And then if I'm looking at, I would like to say I got 10,000 steps a day, but I generally probably get around about sort of 7, 8, unless I force myself to go for a bit of a walk. But because I am sat at the computer screen all day, I'll try and like get some fresh air and go for a little bit of a walk along the Albert Dock, because I live in Liverpool, and that's like a bit of a 20-minute sort of there and back trip for me to get back to my flat. And as I said, the flexibility and stretching side of stuff, I should, when I go to the gym, spend a bit of time after my workout doing that sort of thing. But that's something that if I'm pushed for time, I'll be like, right, I'm walking back home. Yeah. And I tend to miss that. So I know that's something that I need to work on. But yeah, my fitness stuff comes from my classes that I teach, because I'm doing it with my members. My strength training is usually sort of an hour and a half session 4 times a week at the gym. What about you?
Yeah, so it's so similar in a sense with the stretching, and I'll tell you what I do about that, how I overcome that side, where probably as flexible as I can be in comparison. I mean, Nathan at 42 this year is probably more supple and flexible than Nathan at 20, which is quite mad to think. But I'll go through it. So how many classes I do in a week? So I do, on my online platform, I do 5 in a week, because I do 1 a day in a working week, but then I also do classes for venues. So I do 2 kettlebells for venues, and I do 2 Pilates for venues.
Do you now, Nathan?
And the reason why I brought the Pilates in is kind of a win-win, really, self-serving as much as helping others. I know I need to do that, and I know it helps me when I've got an audience to do the Pilates, because it's one of them little self nudges for me that, like yourself, I don't really enjoy stretching. I just don't. But when I've got an audience and I do it with someone, it motivates me to do it. And once I get into it, at the end of it, as well as my group, we'll go, I'm glad we did that, because they're in the same boat as me, that they're the same. They know it's good for them, but they don't get that instant gratitude from it and that instant return. You don't with stretches. It takes time where you do something, maybe a couple months down the line, you go, oh, that felt different, but there's no direct, is there? Whereas when you go to do strength training or you do HIIT training, you get that instant sort of relief.
Gratification.
Yeah, you do. It makes such a difference. So that gets my balance in terms of my stretching and my HIIT. I actually get 15 to 20,000 steps in, because I'm a hybrid, you know. So me just walking around the gym floor gets a lot of steps up, but I also go for a walk with people as well, because some of my clients needs to go for a walk, so I take them for a walk before I do other stuff with them. So that gets my step count up. And then strength training wise, at the moment, it's free. So I do 3 strength training sessions, and I purely just do a leg day, a weak area day, and an all-rounder. And that's what I do right now, because I'm in a gain-tain at the moment, which seems to be
I love that. A gain-tain, love it.
So obviously, without going too much into nutrition, which I won't do, because that's not what this one's about, but I do track as well as I know you do.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I when I don't track, I can rapidly look quite out of shape. Because I mean, that we know the importance of that, you know. Food is so important, isn't it? But in terms of, you've got to have it. It's ticking all the boxes, isn't it? Making sure your nutrition's on point, but also the balance is right with your training. And I'm glad. I feel like if I didn't teach my classes, that would be the first thing to go. Like the cardio stuff, the HIIT training would probably be the first thing, because only can get through those sessions because I've got people doing it with me.
Yeah.
So it's motivating doing it with my group that do my classes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the positive what you have is you're now literally in the same position as, I'm assuming, the clients or the people you're helping, because they be sitting down like you are now.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of them still
Literally
working
mirror
from
them.
home. Yeah. So they're logging in when they're on their lunch breaks or before they start work in the morning. And that, yeah, it makes them get it done as well.
Yeah. But
For
you can
sure.
relate to them a lot more because you're literally living through what they be doing, and that is
Yeah.
sitting in the office all day.
And I think some people don't have the opportunity to get to a gym, and so I try and give them as much sort of fitness and strength within my classes as I possibly can that you can do at home with limited equipment. So, any sort of training is better than no training. That's like absolute fact. But I think optimally, if you can, what I would recommend people to do would be 3 sort of strength-based sessions, ideally in a gym if you can, because you're going to have a wider range of equipment. But if you can't, then, you make use of what you've got. And then I probably advise, again, sort of 3 half-an-hour intense cardio sessions if you can. So that would be sort of for average person, 6 sessions a week, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If that's probably sounds like quite a lot, doesn't it? But
that's identical.
but that's kind of, I think, what I would probably advise.
Yeah.
But you're talking about sort of 3 hours in the gym and an hour and a half worth of cardio a week.
Yeah. And mindful of the step count, isn't it? Like you've
done,
you sit down, you're mindful that you're not getting your steps in, so you'll make sure you go out for a walk.
Yeah, and that's just, generally going to, like, I think people, again, don't want to talk too much about nutrition, but people rely a little bit too much on exercise as a way of managing their weight, don't they? Whereas really that weight management should predominantly come from your food, but the more you can move in a day, the better your metabolic rate's going to be.
Yeah.
So,
it's down to consistency, isn't it? If you can't manage these elements, and one of these is weak because you haven't managed it, it will catch up on you some way. You only can survive for so long thinking you can fight against all the calories you may be getting in because you're not managing it,
Absolutely, yeah.
I like to describe calories like how we manage our money. We manage our money good enough, but yet people don't manage their calories, and they should treat them the same. Because we have a budget, and we should have a budget for the calories.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, for sure. Yeah, and again, getting all of those things right can be pretty tough, but that's where we come in to try and help people to do that, I guess.
Yeah. Just before we finish off, actually, going back to before lockdown, because obviously your business has completely changed. You obviously done one-to-ones back then, and you've done your classes. How many steps did you get in before lockdown? Did you know?
It was at least 10,000 a day, like you. Now you're back in the gym. I was at that time, prior to lockdown, I was working in the gym. So yeah, I was walking to and from the gym every day, several times a day, because I lived a short walk away. So in between clients, if I had a gap, I'd come back home. But then, as you say, when you're walking around the gym just from machine to machine with people or demonstrating exercises, then you're moving quite a lot, aren't you? So yeah, it was definitely a lot higher. So hence why now I force myself to go for walks and keep myself moving, and try not to be very stagnant. I try and get up.
Yeah. Well, again, it's always great to speak to you. Have you got any final words? Putting you on the spot right now, but there's someone who's looking to start training. Maybe they're like yourself, who is sitting down in the office a lot, and they're not going out for walks, and they're not exercising, and they feel a little bit sluggish at time. Have you got any sort of words of wisdom to get?
I think the key thing really is trying to not do everything, fit exercise into your lifestyles, because it's got to be something that you can, do and maintain, like you said, and be consistent with. So pick a form of exercise that you enjoy first and foremost, that you can fit in with your day, and keep doing that, because any exercise is better than no exercise. We've talked about, you know, ideal world and what we do, but if you're someone that's currently doing nothing, just starting, but also not coming up with an unrealistic plan, not saying to yourself, oh, well, Lucy and Nathan just said I need to be doing 3 sessions in the gym and, you know, 3 half-an-hour sessions. That is an ideal world, and not many people have the luxury and necessarily the time to go and do that, or even access to a gym. So fitting it into the pockets of time that you've got available, maybe getting someone to look over that for you and giving and helping you manage that. And then just doing it and just keep being consistent with it, because that's ultimately going to give you some longevity and some long-lasting results.
Yeah, it's great. As long as they're a bit further forward than where they started, they're going to be making progress, and you never know where it might lead to.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone starts somewhere. So, like, you know, even you and I, back before I started into fitness at all, you know, I was doing very little. So what the thought then, I think, of what I do now would probably just be like, what are you doing what? But everyone starts somewhere, so just picking a form of exercise first and foremost that you can do and you enjoy doing would be a starting point.
Great stuff. Like I've said recently to a few other guests, and hopefully next time we get to do this in person, whether it's me
in
Liverpool or you up here.
Yeah.
Next time we get to do it in person.
For sure. Now we can.
Yeah, exactly, we can. Yeah, so I'll see you soon, and yeah, have a good day. See you later.
Thanks, Nathan. See you later.